some of my devices. Okay. Well, here we go. This is the Autonomy Season 1 interview series, and this is Martin, otherwise known as the Georgia Freeman, interviewing Chris from Autonomy. Well, thank you for spending the time with me, Chris, and welcome.
Thanks a lot. It's a lot, Martin. Studying your bookshelf behind you and being very nosy, I see we have a few books in common. Tragedy and Hope, the important one.
Yeah, I'm sure we probably have quite a few. I have, there's a few that I have on sales stuff and guns, of course, and then just some random things. But yeah, I see your Tragedy. I won't point to the camera, but I see your Tragedy and Hope right there behind you.
Yeah. I actually bought it about 4 years ago. But yeah, I confessed the other day, I haven't read it yet, only the important parts, and I've read 101.
Well,
but yeah, you know what I mean? Follow the Peace Revolution podcast over the years. You definitely get the gist of the important things, the lessons that have to be taken from Quigley's.
And just, I think probably the value that it presents to hold information like that. So you have it on your bookshelf just in case that ever is not available online, it's there for you.
That's another thing. I don't the grid, you know what I mean? I'm always trying to download and put on my own hard drive all the relevant episodes, all the Corvette reports, all of the Peace Revolution podcasts, everything. When I listen to an episode, I prefer to download it, put it on my hard drive, on my external hard drive, so you've got it. Because, yeah, one of these days, one of these days they're going to wake up to the fact that we're waking people up. And, yeah, whatever excuse they need to make, they'll shut us down. Even though, for example, Tragedy and Hope is a purely historical academic website, but, they don't want people to know the truth. And so it may never happen. I hope it never does. But, when they start to make whatever excuse, whatever internet security and all this stuff that they're trying to do, because it's happening to the bigger websites like, InfoWars, Natural News, whether you like them or not, they're getting censored, they're getting banned. It's happening everywhere.
Right. All for what are called bad ideas. And we don't know who's deciding what ideas are good or bad. And that's what I completely hear you and I find alarming. So,
yeah, exactly.
That was just an interesting aside. I think that shows our common background and interests. Let me ask, what has the autonomy class been to you so far?
Well, I've certainly learned, it started off with the space, I learned to control my own a lot. Common sense things until put at forefront of things that are priority. You don't think about it. And just doing that simple thing of organizing my space and my time has helped me get things done a lot faster, helped me propel myself forward. So I've made progress on this book, for example, that was stagnant for many years, just sitting there with about 2 pages on it. Now I'm really getting the ball rolling with that. Presentations I still need to work on. I have been motivated to start joining my local Toastmasters group. I have not done that. There's so much packed into the autonomy course that everything that you build up and save and book and make yourself accountable for is going to keep going after autonomy, because there's so much to do in just 12 weeks. I've been really enjoying building the series with the interviews, for future students and present students as a reference for what's going on in autonomy. And learning a lot about basic financial sources and connections in that sense. How to at least be more, for example, a landing page. What a great idea. That's priority on my next project, to get a landing page up. I've never made a website before. It's time to do that.
Yeah.
There's just so much across the that's covered. in autonomy that I'm very excited to just get the ball rolling. Because before autonomy, I just I got things done, but not in a way that really helped me and my family advance forward. And I think this is going to help a lot of help in all categories of life, really. As long as I can, stick to it, the power of habit, the power of routine, time being our greatest asset, organizing your I was very reluctant to use Google. I have a Gmail. I was very reluctant to use the calendar there to organize myself. I always preferred pen and paper kind of guy. But the truth is, it's a tool that can be used either for technology is a double-edged sword. So I just said, well, yeah, I'm going to use it to my advantage, and it has helped a lot. Making instant when we book reservations with each other, booking meetings, even my personal life. Take the kids out for a run. 7 to from this time of the day, get out. The accountability group in the autonomy course has made me get up every morning and work on my book, or at least get fiddly loose ends tied up. Yeah, I'm excited, and this is just the beginning as well.
Yeah. Well, I just want to mention that I've observed just from the outside looking in, you are one of our most productive members. And, I don't know what you were like prior to autonomy, but definitely you invest the time and are really putting yourself on display for all of us watching to see as you go out and get not only a volume of interviews, but some really good quality guests and high quality people. And I will say that it's inspired me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad.
Well, I think you're leading by example in this. Did you know any of the members before you came in, other than like Rich, just from his podcast or his website?
No, I was always a member of Tragedy and Hope since maybe 6 or 7, maybe even 8 years ago. And I had interacted with Richard a little bit in the Tragedy and Hope forum, but no, I didn't know anybody on the course before that. When I unmuted on that first day or whatever, that was the first time I actually spoke to Rich, although we had interacted a bit behind the scenes on the Tragedy and Hope forum. I was really quite active on the Tragedy and Hope forum. I always made an effort to go in there and say hi to everybody. And a correction, Darby did know her. She's on the course. I did have her. But most of the people who I knew from Tragedy and Hope actually didn't sign up for the autonomy group. So not this season anyway. But yeah, I didn't really have I didn't know what to expect, but it's been a lot better than I've expected. It was so much more than I expected. I knew what to expect, to be honest. I just thought, well, if Richard Grove's offering it, it's got to be a good deal. So sign me up, because, I need to do something.
Yeah. Well, of course, I had the exact same experience. And all I will say is the people that, from what I would have expected from Richard Grove, the people are what are really impressive and I've enjoyed. So it's been amazing for me as well. What I want, go ahead.
Sorry. One of my motivating myself out there is, let people see me. And, I like to turn the camera on whenever we were in the class on Zoom. Was so when people meet me in real life, they won't go, whoa, he's funny looking. Yeah, I was just saying how I didn't want people to meet me in real life, be shocked at how funny looking I am.
Well, yeah, now that's a protection. And so it's the same thing, I'm not sure. I just didn't want, I first didn't want to be identifiable at all, but now what's been nice, I don't care. Well, exactly. What was your background of freedom and autonomy prior to taking the class?
9/11, and I didn't think anything about it. just like, okay, I believe the story. And I thought, well, what can I do? Life went on. And then a friend of mine, a few years later, was saying, "Oh, look at this documentary, and it's not what it seems." And I'm talking about some of the initial documentaries that were questioning how could the building just collapse on its own footprint, things like that.
Yep.
Things that didn't make sense. It was one of the first videos ever out there was questioning things in the official story that contradicted each other. And again, I didn't really care. I mean, I thought, well, what can I do? It's probably true. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's some around 2007. I'm not a big, I don't follow InfoWars anymore, really, because I think even though sometimes they have stories that names it, message messenger, but in the day of Alex Jones credit, I just wanted, in fact, someone in
There, you're back. I hear you now.
someone in Texas at the time said, "Oh, there's this guy, like things like that. This guy's based down in Austin." And so I checked him out. And anyway, I got pen and paper to start taking notes, and it was just fascinating to me, all these topics. And from there, it just escalated.
Yeah.
And then I started at first I went down the health route. I realized, started learning about GMOs and how, the effects of long-term glyphosate and pesticides is having on the population. That led to
There, you're back.
We're back. Yeah. And yeah, and then to big pharma, and then to big ag, starting to study about all that, and started eating organic as much as I could, putting GMOs, because I think, whatever the case, I'm not gonna eat it. At least I have a choice. And I was living in Europe at the time, so everything was labeled. And then, first pregnant along, so I started studying things, reading up on all that. And that only led to one conclusion as well. And yeah, and then eventually, it just all escalated from there. But really, can you hear me now, Martin?
Yeah, there you're back. It's that Central Texas web.
The real steps started happening when I discovered the Peace Revolution podcast, really. And it was, I think it was John Taylor Gatto, the history lesson, that led me to Richard Grove and his work. And I had heard a bit of his work. One day I actually went to the website and checked it out, and I saw all of his back episodes. And I think I listened to one, and I thought, this is good stuff. So I just started from episode 1. I just started going through them, and it is transforming everything. Go through the Peace Revolution podcast from the beginning, the Corbett Report from the beginning, your homeschooling education lead you to Pittsburgh. It is forming the way to describe it. And it been growing here, hanging out with you guys. It's great.
Yeah. Well, and what's so funny is you wouldn't think that's such an interesting badge, but I think it takes a special curious and open mind to go back to podcast number 1 of a series of podcasts that range anywhere from like 5 hours to 25 hours. But I did the same thing, and I loved it. Like I miss, the occasional podcast, Peace Revolution podcast coming out. That's the one thing I do miss, even with the.
I'm sure there will be more, right now, that Richard and Lisa have more going on. I'm not caught up anyway. So it's fine with me. I think I'm around episode 80, the mid 80s right now. So I'm almost at the end, but each podcast is, a road trip to West Texas and back, and you'll be finished.
Yeah, it's an investment.
9-hour podcast.
Well,
one thing I've taken is I look at the notes on each podcast, and I will individually convert and download each show from that. And so that way I can watch it in different parts. Even skip one, I've skipped before. I find that easier, even though it's more time consuming. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps coming in and out, but it's happened to me a few times in Zoom. It just picks up and keeps recording. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, I figured it because it's showing me that on my screen, it gives a little yellow outline, and so I figure we're recording. Well, there I've got your actual, the Chris McMillon mug back, so it's great.
Yeah, cool.
Well,
speaking of,
so you guys are homeschoolers, or?
Yeah, and that was always. It was, again, John Taylor Gatto toning us down. I read it before we even had kids, and it planted a seed. I said, man, if I ever had kids, I'm going to have to think about this school thing. I had never even registered, what was the problem in school? It was processed like a can of sardines, but I have come to recently realize that that's basically why I was lost for so many years. I realized that, and that's kind of what my book is about, basically covering my good times I spent in Europe when I was younger. And now with hindsight, I'm tying it in with extended adolescence, which was, is exactly, that what school does exactly what it's intended to do. And I'm an example of money through a slow process. I managed to get myself out of the matrix, but having this conversation 20 years ago, I mean, but better late than never.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad I've become aware of all these topics before I had kids. So that's one advantage of having kids a bit later in life is, that I had them when I was younger, that would be in the factory as well, just like everyone else.
Yeah. Well, so how did you obviously went to school, so you made it through your high school years, and you went to college, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was a good student. I made good grades, on roll. I went to college. I got a useless degree that I've never used. I had a good time in college, great memories, met great people.
What was it in your degree?
Regrets.
Sorry to interrupt. What was your degree in?
English. I already speak English. I did enjoy the literature classes. They did give me kind of a background in how to approach something from an academic point of view. I did something, surely, but there was nothing I learned really out of myself, how to know how to teach myself. But I did have fun in college. I have good memories of my literature classes. Going to the plays, the Shakespeare plays, the group, and all of that was good times. But again, you could get that. You don't have to go to college to get those experiences if you learn early on the skills that we're covering in autonomy, how to teach yourself just anything, and the skills and the knowledge that's covered in all this hidden knowledge is covered in the Fusion podcast and satellite shows and hosts and websites that are around the whole process.
Yeah. Well, but so you went to school, because I totally agree. This is one of the most exciting things I've been in, is what a learning environment to learn some skills that you could walk out of, 12, maybe it's going to be 15 weeks or whatever of online class, and have, integration. I mean, have exercise like we're taking care of, to go out and be able to know how to start your own website, or, do interviews or sell something. It's just spectacular. So sorry, I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but yeah, you triggered me. And I think for having children, I feel so much hope with this. Well, so how did you end up going from being an English major to graduating with your English degree and going to Europe?
No, that was it. I decided my third year college that I wanted to go. It was time for me to get out. I knew there was a world out there that I wanted to see, I don't think I ever intended to get a quote unquote real job. To be honest, I've never really had a real job in my life. Yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of jobs, but not. I've never
Awesome.
had a salary job. Yeah,
So
it's
you've
always
always
by
had
the
some
hour.
form of autonomy.
Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of what my book's about, is those years, those early years in Spain, where I was literally, one of my favorite novels is Ralph is in Demand by Ralph Waldo Ellison. Not Emerson, but Ralph Waldo
Essen.
Ellison.
Ellison.
And it's
Okay.
about, yeah, yeah. And he was after Ralph Waldo Emerson, but it's about during the 1930s, I believe, in New York City. And he was the Invisible Man, and it was just an incredible novel, and I really could relate to that novel, especially during my years living in Madrid. I was illegal. I didn't exist.
Awesome.
Yeah, but in Spain, 1997, it was easy to get a job teaching English because if you're native, it's never an issue. So.
Hold on, Chris. So I don't know if you can see me, but you can say hello, buddy. I'm just talking to. Come here. Don't be shy.
Seconds.
Are you able to see the camera, Chris?
Now.
Okay. Yeah, one of my children popped his head in there.
Who is?
It's Garrett. He's my younger. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but let's get back to it. He just ended up having one coming up behind me.
Cool. How old is he?
That one's 13.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, when I was 13, I remember I remember everything. I have an uncanny long-term memory. I remember as far back as when I was 3. Yeah, clear memories when I was 3. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's what I remember all my, everything. And that's why this book is back to,
you come say hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I never used my history. I never use it. Everything that I did once I graduated and left. Maybe there were times when I was to have one, and I was never actually asked to show it. So, I could have lied, saved myself 4 years of my life.
But, you bring up a great point. I've had the exact same thing where it doesn't, unless for some reason somebody decides to go check on you because you're in a high enough level where there's somebody that cares what your degree is. It's funny. There's no, other than putting on a resume and have to talk about it. I've never had anyone ask even.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's true.
Well,
I could have just lied.
But you at least, so you like to write though.
I think I do. I've always preferred poetry because there's less structure to it. I'm not very good with structure, and if you use small publications here and there, one of my poems made an anthology once at somewhere. Here's somewhere. I used to write a lot of poetry back when I was more angst. When there was more melodrama. When you're young and you're whatever drama is going on, you're younger, whether it's love triangle, or poor me, or I'm lonely, or I'm hungry. It's easy for me to spill all that out. And to be honest, I haven't been writing. It's hard for me to write poetry in the last 10, 20 years because that I just don't. It's time for a more structured book for me.
Yeah. Well, and then
I get it done.
Did you have the idea for the book prior to being here, and this is just helping you get motivated?
Yeah. Just because I think I don't think there's enough stories about expats living abroad, and there are so many. especially English teachers. You know, it's an easy job when you're abroad. There's always work doing it. And there it goes in varying levels. You know, you could be some backpacker just having conversation with a kid, or you could get up to some serious nitty gritty, you know, up to university level. Or big time CEOs. I've enjoyed it. I like it, but you know, the money's not that great. But
Yeah.
it was enough. But yeah.
Well, my oldest friend was a JET, or Japanese exchange teaching student, and he went over to Japan and taught basically for as long as he could, like similar to James Corbett, I think. And you know, he did the same thing. He's expats, never really come home. He lives in England now, in fact. But it's just funny. I always laugh at that. Everybody I've ever known that's gone internationally to do that is some kind of English major.
Yeah. There are basically three kinds of that I've observed. There are the who just went and then kind of just making their own way. And then there are people who go over there who have a proper job with a salary and a company, and they were brought over there for a specific reason. And then they're tourists. So basically, you know, you meet in my years abroad. If I met other Americans, they fell into one of those three categories, and they're all good people. You know, everyone has a different story to tell. But that was from my experience. Of course, as what I would call a drifter, I resonate more with the fellow drifters who, you know, were kind of. My regret is I didn't go anywhere else first, because I honestly love Spain. It's actually hard for me to talk about it. I miss that place so much. I thought the road stops here, because I was planning when I went to Spain to check out the rest of Europe, maybe go. I didn't know. I didn't really have a direct plan, but I loved Madrid. The minute I landed there, I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay here, whatever it takes. So I spent the first 2-3 weeks just trying to find a place to live and finding a job. And I didn't look around. I didn't breathe. I didn't care. I wasn't interested in seeing the monuments. I wasn't interested in partying, spending, you know, everything was the bare minimum. I was living in the youth hostel, and I would get up day and go to the Atocha train station, grab a newspaper. It's called the second-hand paper, the Segundo Mano. And I was just ringing academies. I didn't have a phone. Luckily, again, you know, I was meeting people, and this one guy, nice enough, said, "Oh, you can give him here's my landline," and I would call every day, having messages. And it led from there. But I love Spain so much that I never really. I kind of regret I should have gone to Korea or Japan. That's my point. Other people like myself, expats living abroad, they all had a story. Oh, I was in Latin America. I was in Japan. They were smart enough to try different countries. So despite having lived abroad for 18 years, I'm actually not that well traveled. I've never been to Africa or Asia or South America. I just stayed in Europe the whole time. And but no, I'm still young. There's still time. You know, you never know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what did you love about Spain so much?
Oh, you're going to make me cry, Martin. Making me talk about it. It's hard to explain. It really is. It was funny. A week before we moved back to Texas, this was October 2015.
Oh,
there was a couple from my home.
Recently.
He was my teacher. Yeah. We were, you know, packed. We're about to move back to Texas. And my second grade teacher from my hometown happened to be doing it in Spain with a group. And I met up with them in the hotel, and they were, and he said it best. He goes, you know, you cannot explain, all the words in the world cannot help make somebody understand what it's like here until they've been here. And I thought, you know, I've been here this whole time, and that pretty much sums it up. There's something about Spain that's just magical. Some people either hate or love it. I've known people gone, they did not like it. The food, just too chaotic for them. But
there's something about it that was just touched you in the way that where it was your spot?
I never made Martin. I was never made much money. It's an easy place to live with very little money. That's one thing about it. Whereas you take the UK and the States and the Northern European countries, if you don't make much money, life is miserable.
Yeah.
But the further south you go in Europe, I don't know what it is. You know, you don't have to make. It's a place where you don't have to make a lot of money. You know, you can have a really good life. You know, without having to be rich. That's one factor, and just the food, and the people, and funny enough, I'm more of a cold weather person. But, you know, a lot of people thought, oh, you went to Spain for the weather. No, that's not the reason I went to Spain. It's you know, it's actually very similar.
Yeah.
It's climate, but I hate that actually. I would prefer Spain was more of a Nordic, you know, four seasons kind of place. No, it is nice weather, but that was not. And it's funny because that's most people's main motive for going to Spain, especially the Northern European and the Irish.
Right. Well, it would make it a different place if the weather were any different. So you know, that's all I would think.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, the people I met over the years, including, you know, other expats living abroad, there's so many, with so many different stories, and there's not enough stories being told, I think. Yeah, you see every once in a while, you see it in the movies, but overall, it's just not. I think it would make a great reality show for anyone, you know, or there's just a lot of potential there. There's a huge market for expats living abroad, and I know the book I'm writing, I would love someone to write something similar, and there I just think some people might find it sort of interesting, particularly how I'm tying it in with 2020 hindsight because I was lost, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just, you know, and basically the book is kind of my journey trying to figure out what happened to me, what was I thinking back then, and also just sharing the fun stories as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, no, that sounds, I mean, honestly, I'm really happy to hear that you're writing it, because it sounds like it's something that, you know, needs to come out, and it's exciting that you're doing it here with your support group and in AUTONOmy. So that's awesome stuff.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Well, so I want to kind of be respectful of your time. It's later on an evening. This was great. I got to know a little bit more about. So we've met Fernando a few times, and I can't remember all the other actors we've met from Spain, but now I understand where a long history of those guys comes from. So thank you very much, Chris. That is awesome.
There were two characters in the role playing that we did for the enrollment exercise, and one was Fernando and the other one was Stefanos.
Yes, thank you.
So for the character that I created for those role plays, I did mix a bit of fact and fiction between those guys, but believe me, it was more truth to but yeah, and that's what I mean, it's all about for me. Living abroad was the people you meet. Again, you know, those guys are just a slice of the amazing people that I've met over the years. So yeah, good. And now, you know, I'm in a good chapter as well right now. You know, making the best of my hometown and doing the homesteading thing, and it's great as well. It's a whole new chapter.
Well, that's awesome, man. So one last question. What can we expect to see next from you, Chris?
Appeals coming up, so I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to be busy helping Richard and Lisa out with the booth, I suppose, and doing the multimedia room, you know, so we'll be doing interviews and meeting each other and hanging out. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's going to be good fun, I think. And also the end of May, there is a Texas gathering of all the AUTONOMY students who are in the Texas region being held at Pam's place. And so awesome. I'm really looking forward to that as well. that's a couple of things coming up to look forward to.
No, that's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for the time. And this is the Georgia Freeman signing off from our autonomy series, interviews #1. Thanks again, Chris.
Thanks a lot, man.